It's me again. Today's date is December 31st, 2022. It's a Saturday. And for some of you, it's already Happy New Year. How do you celebrate New Year's in your country? Where I am, we watched Dick Clark's Rock on New Year's Eve. One of the best New Year's was what was it? 2009 or 2010? And the fights broke out. It was great. Like the Fox, it was New Orleans and LA, and they were showing like the different times of Happy New Year, and then fights were breaking out. And here's my new fish friend. Let me preface this by saying this is not financial advice. It might be farming advice or it might be fish advice, but it is not financial advice. It's entertainment, hence I wear a costume. Are you not entertained? This is my own personal blog and journey. You're watching One Bird's Thoughts. MMTLP. So we go into the new year with the books not being reconciled. How can we reconcile the MMTLP? So far, Fidelity and TD Ameritrade are showing a new QSEP. Is this actual Next Bridge or is this a placeholder? Is this actual Next Bridge or is this actual placeholder? Yesterday in the spaces, John Berta was on a Twitter space and I joined in. And he did give some numbers, but I want to further explain those numbers as they were explained to me. So he said, 2.5 million shares were registered by individuals with AST. That's individual people. That doesn't include brokerages in the UK who neither bought nor sold MMTLP who could have possibly registered, right? He just referred to the individual number. John Berta also stated that there are 40 to 50 brokers and trading houses and clearing houses that deal with MMTLP or that have MMTLP on their books. 53 million shares are allocated from the DTCC to TD Ameritrade. Is that how many TD Ameritrade needs? No, that's how many should be allocated to TD Ameritrade, not how many they actually need. I'd like to add clarity to those numbers, as a lot of people are coming to me saying that, no, only 2.5 million shares were registered with AST. Those were the shares from individuals, not from any of their brokerage houses. There are 40 to 50 brokerage houses. And while we see what brokerage houses should be getting, how much do they really need? And do we have that number yet? That's like my big thing. Do they have that number yet? And if they did have that number, would we even get to know that number? Or would that be like, you'll never know that number? That is a number you should not know. Of course, John Berta also stated that the last two trading days that were U3'd from us by FINRA, December 9th and December 12th, any trade that would have occurred that day would have meant that the books were imbalanced. Of course, FINRA prevented that with the U3 halt, so that was never publicly revealed. So how do we reconcile the books? I propose there are three methods to reconcile the books. Some work in our favor, some do not work in our favor. But there are three methods I think that really reconcile the books. So TD Ameritrade is allocated 53 million shares. But they probably need more. Remember my mealworm? I was at the top with 5 mealworms, but at the bottom there were like 9 mealworms outstanding, plus there were some middlemen mealworms that needed to be owed. There's a lot more mealworms at the bottom than the top. And to get to the top, I had to buy back mealworms twice. The 53 million is the mealworms at the top, not the mealworms at the bottom. So I propose that there are quite possibly three potential ways to settle this. One is we have to establish a value for Next Bridge Hydrocarbons. By establishing a value of the share price, okay, this is the company establishing a value. This does not include a sale, but this is the company establishing a value for the share price. Shorts can cover because then they pay the broker whatever the value is. But that doesn't leave anything for us holders, right? Yeah, we'll have a value in our account, but it's much harder to sell that now because shorts just covered monetarily with their broker, right? This is great for the shorts because it's a flat price for them, but that doesn't leave a favorable market for us holders. We could sell these. It'd take much longer, though, to sell these bespokenly. That's not the best option here. It's an option, but I don't like that one as much. Number 2 is gray market. I also call these bespoke sales, private sales, because gray market seems like it's going to be an active market and you can see stuff. As Kittredge and I talked about, you don't always see stuff. Sometimes it's just whatever they tell you the last price was, and it's very private, hence bespoke. So I like to call them private bespoke sales in this regard, because we're not sure to what extent we would be able to see stuff. If you can't see much, brokerages can use this to their advantage with you, and you'll just have to know what you want to sell at. In this method, shorts cover. Holders can sell. We get money. This is an okay method. People want this because at least they get a chance to sell and they can tell the broker yes or no. I want to sell at this price or I don't want to sell at this price. I'll come back later when the price is higher. The downside to this from a broker standpoint is maybe some people want to hold out to $10,000, which is fine. If you want to hold out to $10,000, that's great. If you could do it, I'll give you a standing ovation. You know, we don't know if we'll be able to reconcile the shares. How long will this go on? 3 would be a settlement with brokerages, market makers, or whoever, and Next Bridge. They buy the shares from Next Bridge. In this case, shorts cover. It's not as much of a supply and demand situation. Holders will get money and keep their shares of Next Bridge. This is the only way we can really double dip this, is if there's a settlement, you get money as a cash dividend, a special one-time cash dividend, and you keep a share of Next Bridge. This would also work. Some people don't want this because it doesn't mean that shorts have to face the people with supply and demand. This could possibly be the faster method. Maybe this would be the faster method. It depends. This depends largely on how the brokerage. Would they say, let's trade this for 5 days? Well, in a 5-day stretch, would everybody be aware? To know how long this would trade would be, how many shares outstanding there are. You see? So that might be a number that we're not supposed to know, again, if we do know that number. But you have people who might hold out, of course, for a much higher price. How are you going to deal with those people? Number 3, you kind of bypass those people. And everybody gets the same price. If you're a guy with 5 shares, you don't have to worry as much. That's a bit more easier on the shorts. But this could be a bit more easier on the shorts too, because some people just want to sell to get out now, and they'll be happy selling at $12 to $15 or $20. And shorts would be like, twirling their mustaches as they buy up your shares. So these are the 3 possible methods. Again, number 1 is establish a value, what Next Bridge is worth, and then that cash value just gets reconciled through the chain, and shorts cover, but us holders don't really get anything out of that. We'll see a cash value in our account, but it's only realized if we can sell it, which might be harder at that point because a lot of the demand is gone away from that. There's 2 and 3. The gray bespoke private market sales, which could either be brokers calling you or it's a bespoke saying, do you have a holder? Or 3, the settlement. Now let's go into the next week because this comes back to number 2. So Fidelity has said that, the shares are here, the certificates, the Next Bridge shares are here, and they changed to CUSIP. Are these actual Next Bridge shares or are they not? There's a couple tests we can do to see if they are. As Smokey pointed out, the DTCC chill. Here's the SEC page. The chill is in effect until the shares are satisfied, until Next Bridge shares are distributed, because it's a private company, it's not DTCC eligible. Hence, if it's an actual Next Bridge share, there will not be a chill on it. You can say hey, I want to ACAT. You can't DRS these shares anymore, but you can ACAT them or DWAC them with the transfer agent. That's the new terminology to say you want to register with the transfer agent or you want to send them to your name in the transfer agent, ACAT or DWAC. They will say either one. It'll take up to 4 weeks. Some people showed that Fidelity. It'll take up to 4 weeks, which is funny because it shouldn't take up to 4 weeks, but I think that's just Fidelity trying to buy for time. If they tell you that there's a chill, then point out the fact that, well, I wouldn't point out the fact because if you do harass your brokers too much, that can backlash on you. But just remember that if they say there's a chill, these are not real Next Bridge shares because the chill goes away on distribution of the Next Bridge shares. The next one would be to try and gray market this or gray sheet this if they are indeed Next Bridge shares, because if they are Next Bridge shares, you can gray sheet them. JP Morgan told me they'd be happy to gray sheet my Next Bridge shares. When they are Next Bridge shares, they can't gray sheet a Contra share because there's that whole settlement issue. Until it's settled as an actual Next Bridge share, there's a liability on them. Hence, they don't want to take it to gray market. Okay. They have to wait for the actual Next Bridge share. So if they tell you can't gray market it, then you know it's not an Next Bridge share. I'm not sure about the other brokerages like Fidelity. I'll have to see. Or E-Trade if they could do. I'll see about E-Trade. We'll see about Fidelity. But JP Morgan's pretty good with gray market stuff, and they're pretty honest. I had that phone call recorded, and it was in one of my episodes here. So those are my 2 acid tests going into the next week to see if these are indeed Next Bridge shares or if they're just still placeholders. And the brokerage houses are trying to say, "Look at this. See, it's like that dead parrot skit from Monty Python. See, look, it just moved." As much as I don't want to see a dead parrot, it kind of reminds me of the dead parrot skit from Monty Python, which is one of their first skits, the most famous skits. So those are my 2 acid tests. If you want to try them, go ahead. I'll share, free to share with you, but that will be also what I'm doing next week. Okay, guys, that's it for today. Have a happy new year. Hope you have a safe new year. Be very careful if you're driving on the roads. It can be very dangerous. Okay, guys, I will see you soon. Goodbye.